Right, we're at game 3 of the tournament. This is the final game. We are the final undefeated players left in the tournament, so the winner of this game should win the tournament. And I'm against the opponent that I faced last Thursday, who played the Demon Army, where we had such a great, epic back and forth battle between us. So kind of just a fitting climax to the tournament. And it should both be said, at the end of the day, I'm new to these tournaments, and so I don't have the stamina yet that I think I need to develop. I was tired. My opponent, too, had a headache. It was just a long day. But, oh, what a great game. Great game. 2250, Bretonnians versus Demons. Look at the board. We have a house up there at the top. There are 2 hills and an impassable terrain on the middle and right side, and there's a forest on the left. And the terrain really did play a part, especially that top hill, and in battling with line of sight and things of that nature, and the house, which formed kind of part of my flank. So if we look at deployment on his left flank, as I'm facing on the right, he did put a unit of Furies over there to harass me and to try to protect his flank that way. Otherwise, you can see from my right to left, he put 4 of his flamers there behind the hill with his fleshhounds next to him, and then some Furies behind them. Then he's got a unit of pink horrors, and if you see those 3 behind it, again, the big model he has in the middle, the spawn model, is actually a herald that should only be on a small base. So that's how we represent that. But anyway, pink horrors with a herald, then there's bloodletters with a herald BSB, and I know because of Thursday that this BSB is the 125-point stubborn banner. So all demons within 12 inches are stubborn. And against demons, you've got to kill that guy, or else you're just not going to beat him in combat. So he's got that unit of bloodletters, another unit of bloodletters, and his big nasty demon lord behind him. So my deployment, this is on my left, and as my opponent's facing it, the right, starting at this right, there are 2 units of peasant bowmen. My general's behind him. I have Knights of the Realm facing to the side, protecting my flank. 20 men-at-arms with my Grail Knights and a damsel. More peasant bowmen, my trebuchet, and Pegasus Knights. And I have more people to the left of that, but let me talk about this first. This is directly facing where my opponent's people are. So what I did, one, I put everybody on foot down here, because there's no purpose in me trying to walk across the board. And secondly, it seems to me that the biggest weakness that demons have is that they die easily from ranged attacks. So what I wanted is put my peasants there and just put as many arrows into his ranks as possible. I don't expect to kill everybody through ranged attacks, but if I can get some, reduce them in ranks, if I can especially get that pink horror unit down, anything at all is going to help me when it finally comes time to combat. So that's why I've kind of massed all my bowmen there together. The troops I have there are really not, I'm not thinking of them trying to engage in combat. They're just there so that he can't rush me too fast while I wait for my big units of knights to come from the other side of the board. My general, of course, is the monster killer, so wherever he put his general, that's where I put my general. So I'm just sitting there waiting for him to get somewhere where I can charge him. And I know that if we get in a fight, odds are he's going to win. But I have a chance of winning, and if I can find any other way to get some wounds on his guy to help me out, either through some ranged attacks or through combat resolution or anything else, I've got a decent chance of taking him down. If I don't take him down, because he's a terror causer, he's flying, he's just nasty in combat, he can wreak havoc on me. So my general, even if I don't kill him, my general might be able to keep his bloodthirster at bay. So anyway, that's half my troops. On the other side of the board, of course, I've already said the trebuchet and the Pegasus Knights, then the woods. Then I've got my big unit of Knights Errant with my BSB, big unit of Knights of the Realm, my small, what I consider my reserve unit of Knights Errant, my fast cab, and some more Pegasus Knights. Now, what I want to do here is bring all my Knights in from the flank, and the fast cab and the Pegasus over here is, I have to find a way to deal with his Furies. I can't have them holding up my guys over here or charging in the flank, thus allowing his fleshhounds to charge me or anything like that. So the game plan is to whittle them down stall him with my guys in the front, bring my big blocks from the left, and crush him. And I'm not going to do any of that unless I can get his BSB dead. So that's what I'm thinking at this stage of the game. And that's just another view of what it looked like. So he opted to let me go first. So starting at the bottom, you can see I take my fast cav up on that hill, and I'm going to shoot at his Furies. What I'm hoping to do, really what I'm saying is, if he leaves his Furies there, I'm going to charge him with my fast cav and with my Pegasus Knights. If he charges my fast cav, I'm going to flee and get a counter charge with my reserve Knights Errant and my Pegasus Knights. If he flies anywhere else on my side of the board, I'm going to get the charge on him. So I'm kind of forcing him to pull his Furies away and allow me the flank. My big blocks of Knights, you see I've moved them up pretty aggressively, and that hill is becoming an issue because he's right over the edge of it. So if I don't get on the hill, I can't see him to charge, and as soon as I can see him to charge, he's going to be able to charge me with some nasty Fleshhounds. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how that plays out. It feels, and Eric's a good player, the guy I'm playing against, it turns into kind of a chess match with that hill. On the other side of the board, I really didn't do much. I kind of liked my situation there. Like I said, I'm not trying to rush out to combat. I'm just trying to keep him at bay and just let loose with all those arrows and the stone thrower and all that. That being said, I killed a couple bloodletters, 2 or 3 maybe, but for the most part I didn't do a whole lot, despite despite all my plans. The ranged attacks didn't do much. So turn 1, you can see he takes his Furies on my right and pulls them over just like I kind of thought he would. And so I'm thinking I'm just going to keep that same tactic up, just try to hem him in a little bit. Moves his flamers over to start shooting at me. Positions his hounds behind that hill because he sees the same thing I do, and that's the line of sight reach issues. And he brings his Bloodthirster over to lend quite a bit of support to that flank for him. So that flank is going to be hotly contested and probably be pretty important. On the other side of the board, he moves his guys up a little bit. From my left to right, he moves them up faster and brings his Furies over. I'm not sure what he's planning on using them for. But he's probably thinking the same thing I do. They just have a lot of different things they can do. So there's another look at the board. You can see the way that the battlefield is kind of circling around that hill, which is kind of funny. So turn 2. Move my fast cav up to shoot at his flamers, and it's really the same thing. If he leaves his Furies there, I'm going to charge you. If you fly him to my right, I'm going to charge you with the Pegasus Knights. If you fly him straight, I'm going to charge you with my Knights Errant. I'm trying to make sure I have that flank as I come into it. What I decided to do with the hill is take those Pegasus Knights and fly them on the hill and basically invite his Fleshhounds to charge me. If they charge me, I'm going to flee, and I'm going to get the counter charge with my big blocks of Knights and wipe them out. If he doesn't charge me, I'm going to charge him, and I think I'll do well enough that we'll stick around in combat, and so I probably, if I get that charge, move my big blocks up to support in the next round. So that's what I'm thinking. That's why those Pegasus Knights grab the hill. I know in doing that I'm susceptible to ranged attacks by his flamers. It's also possible that he could take his Bloodthirster and charge me, but that would be fine too, because I'm just going to flee, and I'd just get a bunch of charges on his lord, and that would be just fine with me. So still my turn, other side of the board. And you can see again, I'm just not doing a whole lot over here. I angled my Grail Knights just a little bit. What I'm thinking here is ultimately I need to get in combat with his troops, and I'm not willing to do that with his battle standard bearer still alive. So I'm starting to think that I may need to get those Grail Knights on a what might be a suicide mission, but they've got to kill that BSB. And although I'd rather not sacrifice them, I'm just thinking that's what I'm thinking of, not in terms of sacrificing. I'm thinking their job is going to be to kill that guy. Otherwise, I just leave that side of the board alone. I like the chance to throw a bunch of arrows at him, and if you look at his troops, you can tell they're not hitting much. But anyway, I'm going to stick with the plan. Demon's turn 2. This is a very telling move about the character of my opponent. He moved his Furies in between those units where I couldn't charge him, or he was trying to, and then he realized halfway in doing it that I was going to be able to charge him with that small unit of knights errant. And he's the type of player that once he starts moving troops, he's not going to take it back because he realizes it's a bad move. His attitude is that, hey, I decided I'd move them, I'm going to move them. And I never used to play that way. I'd measure it and then just pull it back, and I'm realizing that's a much better way to play. So he flew his Furies in there, and now I'm set up to charge him with my reserve unit of Knights Errant. So ended up being kind of a bad thing in terms of his flank and getting that flying unit out of the game for him. So we're only on turn 2, and I'm out of time for this segment, so we will see what happens in just a moment.